Yes, welcome to Home Studio Q&A here on Studio Live today, episode 37. Yes, 37 weeks in a row we've been doing this show. That rhymes, and you know that rhymes. What is this show? Well, this is all about your questions about home recording, mobile recording, GarageBand, mixing, mastering, whatever you've got on your mind. I'm here to help try and answer it. And it's not just me, but it's the whole community. I just can't stop rhyming. Everyone here can contribute to this. So I want you to not only ask the questions, but for those that are here live on YouTube and Facebook, please help me out with the answers because I rely on the community here. I don't know everything. I am but one person, but the community as a whole, we can pretty much solve for everything if we put our minds to it. If you are here on the replay or you're listening on the podcast, no problem. You can get in touch with me, and the ways to do that are over at studiolivetoday.com, where you can follow me on all the social media places, check out the gear guide, and check out all the ways that you can watch Studio Live today. Speaking of gear, today's focus topic is going to be all about gear, which we'll jump into in a minute, and then we will answer your questions. If you are here live, please put question in front of your question. That just makes sure that I can see in the chat as I filter through, because there's really good conversations that go on in the chat, but I need to be able to find those questions. So if you put a big question in capital letters at the front, it just makes it super easy for me to get to your question. So topic of the week: what gear should you get for your home studio in 2020? Well, it's a bit of a loaded question because I'm going to go through a bunch of stuff here, but right up front, I want to say three things. Number one is use the gear you have right now to record. For goodness sake, you don't need all the gear, and I don't like hearing the excuse that, oh, I don't have the latest and greatest microphone or interface or headphones, so I can't start recording. Nope, start recording now. Start right now. Well, watch the rest of this show, then start right now recording with the gear you have. I don't care if you got your headset and you plug it into your iPhone and you start recording in GarageBand. Just do it, get started recording. You're going to learn a lot. You don't need all the gear. Number two is please spend what you can afford. So I'm not telling you to go out and spend money you don't have. And the beautiful part about buying gear for your home or mobile studio is you don't have to do it all at once. Sure, you can go out there and just kit yourself out, but you can also upgrade components as you go along, and that's what we'll be talking about in this as well. And third is gear will not magically make you better. It will not make your songs better. You need to practice the actual art of songwriting, the art of recording, the art of mixing, and all of that is pretty independent of your gear. You can have $1 million studio and a crappy song, and guess what? Still a crappy song. That all being said, good quality gear just means that the gear is getting out of the way of your creativity. So what you want from gear is not for it to do the work for you. It's never going to do that. But if you're finding that you've got noisy recordings, you've got hissy recordings, you're not getting that pristine quality of audio that you think you deserve, then guess what? A little bit of investment into your gear may actually help you. And when we talk investment, we're not talking thousands. We'll show you what that's all about in a moment. So let's jump in and talk about the key things. So there's actually four main parts of a home studio, in my opinion, and this varies from different folks. If you are a guitarist and or vocalist or recording analog or like real instruments, you'll need yourself an audio interface, you'll need a microphone, and you'll need a pair of headphones. That is going to be the absolute bare minimum. So if you've got a Mac or a PC, you plug those three things in together, you got yourself a nice little mini studio ready to go. If you're a keyboard player or you're using virtual instruments or synth instruments, then a MIDI keyboard is a very, very good investment. We'll talk about those too. And then if you're mobile, if like me, you love recording on your iPhone or your iPad, there's another couple of pieces of kit you'll need, which is your Lightning to USB adapter and maybe a powered USB hub as well. Now, the entire rig, if you buy everything that I'm about to show you, it's $550 US right now. We're talking July 2020, and that's the overall cost. If you just get that guitar vocal rig, $370. The guitar vocal rig with a keyboard, $490. So, like I said, this is the middle of the range stuff. You can go more budget, You can definitely spend more money, but this is what I've found as the sweet spot that's going to give you the best bang for your buck and the best quality without hopefully breaking the bank. One final thing before we dive in and look at the actual gear. We are here in July 2020. Stock is super limited of a lot of this gear. So you are going to find wherever you're buying, if you're buying from Amazon or Sweetwater or anywhere Thomann, anywhere in the world, you're going to find a lot of stuff out of stock. So we'll talk about that as we go through what's actually in stock, but a lot of stuff you may find is on back order. So yeah, if you want stuff really, really soon, you'll probably have to look around on the secondhand market, but don't pay more than retail. There's a lot of folks out there trying to scam people using the scarcity of the market to try and make money from people that they don't deserve. So please be cautious when you're doing that. Let's jump over here and start looking at some of this gear, shall we? So here it is, the Steinberg UR22C audio interface. And funnily enough, I actually just asked a question on my community tab. So if you follow me on YouTube, you can actually go to the community tab. Let's just get the refreshed answer here. So I asked, what's the most important part of a mobile or home studio setup? And 63% of people said this. There, that one said an audio interface. So because of that, and I agree with that, having a good quality audio interface is something I recommend. So you'll see here of our $550 total budget, I'm recommending we push nearly $200 into the audio interface. Why? Because the Steinberg UR22C does everything and it does it really well. Now, if you want to go budget or if you want to spend a little bit less, Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 or Scarlett Solo are really good. And you can even go the Behringer range of interfaces and you're going to go down to $150, $100, as low as $70 or $80 if you go down. But again, you do get what you pay for. Why do I like this? Because it's built like a tank and it has some pretty exceptional features. So here it is. You can see there, we've got two input channels, which are preamps and stereo line inputs. So if you want it, got a stereo keyboard, you can record that. You got two microphones, you want to record stereo mics, you can record that. We've got, coming across here, we've got a mono switch, which is super handy. It means if you're using the two channels, you're not hearing them on the left and the right. Everything's coming out together, which is handy. You've got a mix knob there, so you can hear either completely latency-free direct monitoring, that's important, or you can blend it in with the effects coming back from your DAW. Also a really handy option if, say, you're playing a guitar through a guitar amp sim, you want to hear a little bit of the clean sound, but then you want to make sure you can hear those effects. Same with your vocals, you want to hear that latency-free monitoring, but you want to dial in a bit of effects. Really, really cool. Got the input switch there for the high Z or high Z, which means you can turn your second channel into a direct guitar input. Super handy for guitarists. And then you've got headphones and a stereo output. And the outputs on the back of this one, there you go. We've got actual balanced TRS outputs, which you don't get on a lot of interfaces. You've got MIDI in and out. We've got class compliance. Sorry, not class compliant. We've got a 48 volt phantom power. And then the reason I love these so much is you've got two different power sources here. So we can power it up either directly via USB 3 or we can power it via a 5 volt DC, but connect it via USB as well. And in the box comes a USB-C to A cable. So that's going to make it compatible for most of the gear that you're going to use. In terms of quality, these things are built like a tank. They're made out of steel. You can really feel the heaviness and of the quality components that they're using in there. We've got the Yamaha D preamps on here, which are really super nice and clean and quiet. They'll get you the best quality from the microphones or the guitars or whatever you're plugging in. And guess what? If you listen to any of the EP that I just released, my last EP called Maybe, it was all recorded directly in GarageBand on my iPad using this exact audio interface. So I've spent a lot of time talking about that because I think it's super important that you understand. And in terms of audio quality, 24-bit up to 192 kilohertz sound. So you're talking studio quality sound there all the way. That is my recommendation on audio interface. What do you think? If you've got other recommendations, love to hear them. Let them know in the comments down below. Let's move on to the next component. So my next most important component is this. Now, back on the survey, this only got 2% of the votes, that people thought the microphone was not the most important part of your studio setup. I kind of think it is. So having a good quality microphone, in this case, this one, the Audio-Technica AT2020, there it is there, but here it is here. It's always hanging around, so I've got it ready to go over here, hanging on my mic stand. It basically lives on my mic stand, which I know is probably bad form. I should probably put it away and keep it dust-free, but I just use it so much that it sits on a mic stand with a pop filter ready to record at a moment's notice. So why the AT2020? Well, You'd probably be aware that there's two different main types of microphones. You've got condensers and you've got dynamic microphones. Dynamic microphones is like your old school SM57, SM58, the handheld mic. If you see someone singing live, performing a live gig, they're using a dynamic microphone. A condenser microphone like this one, or this one, this is actually a handheld condenser, believe it or not. These are different because they actually require phantom power, which interfaces and mixers like the Steinberg UI22C provide, and that means that there's got actually a powered capsule in there. That's going to pick up a lot more sound. So the benefit you get of these is you get really crisp, really clear audio, but the downside is it picks up a lot of room noise. So the only thing I'll say about this, I recommend this for everything, for vocals, for guitars, for acoustic guitars, acoustic instruments. The only downside is that it is going to pick up a lot of detail. And if that detail is a very echoey room, lots of traffic noise, lots of background noise, that is going to come through. You can solve for that by using what I do, a walk-in robe. I've got a closet over there that I can record in, or a smaller space. Or if you really can't get over that noise, something like the Shure SM58 or SM57 or the AKG D5 may be good for you. And by the way, these are all down in the description and also over at my gear guide. So if you go to studiolivetoday.com/gear, I've got links to all of these where you can check them out wherever you are in the world. You can look where they are, and those are affiliate links, meaning if you make a purchase, they break off a little chunk and send it to me to support the channel. So that's your audio interface and your mic. So if you just want to get the basics and you grab those two, yep, you're setting yourself back $270 if you take my advice and get these two, but it is going to be a worthwhile investment because you're going to get very good quality audio by doing that. Let's continue on though, because we've got others to get through. Headphones. So headphones where did they rank? So they ranked second, in fact. 15% of folks said a good pair of headphones is essential for your home or mobile studio. I use these. They're on special at the moment, which is a good thing. They're also not in stock. They were in stock about a week ago. They're back out of stock, so I'd assume they'll get some more in. Why do I like these? Well, every time you see me, I'm wearing a pair of these. Every time you see the channel, I'm wearing these. I like the curly cord that you get, so that means you're not going to pull out of your gear. We've got these over-ear, very nicely padded cups that go around your ear. They're closed back, meaning that if you're tracking, you're not going to get a lot of bleed coming out of your headphones into your microphone. That's super important. And they're just nice and flat. When you're monitoring your audio, you want flat. You don't want anything that's going to hype your treble or your bass, that's going to give you frequencies that are not there, that's going to overemphasize them. So that's why I like these. Now, there's a heap of different headphones you can get. If you want to go down in the budget, you can go down to some AKG, Audio Technica. There's a heap of recommendations. And you can spend, I think if you're spending anything from $50 to $60 up, you're going to get a good quality headphone. If you go something cheaper than that, it's not going to give you that sound reproduction that's going to help you. And the other thing people will ask at this point is, what about monitor speakers, Pete? You're not even mentioning those. I don't consider those part of your, if you're starting out or if you're building up your home studio, I think they come later. I think you'd need all of these things before you consider monitor speakers, because a good set of monitors is probably about the same amount again. You're talking $300, $400 for a decent pair of monitor speakers. I think you can get away with using a decent pair of cans instead for a fairly long period of time. So that's your headphone option, well, one of the headphone options and what I recommend there. So with those three, what do we have in our budget? For those three together, our guitar and vocal rig, you're at $370. Now, if you are a keyboard player and you either don't need the microphone or you want to just use virtual instruments or have both, you'd want to go for a MIDI controller. Now, I'm a little bit in love with this one. It's $119 at the moment. You can get it for as low as $99. Here's mine. I've always got it. It's always here in the background. This is my M Audio Key Station 49. You'll see that I'm not actually, super loyal to one particular brand. I use the brand that does the best thing for that category. So M Audio Key Station 49. Why do I like this one? It is the best balance of price and quality, in my opinion. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles. It doesn't have all the knobs and the faders and all the stuff. So if you're a full-on electronic producer and you want all of that, you might want to spend a little more. But for someone like me that wants to record in keyboard parts, record in piano parts, use it to control drums, use it to control bass instruments, and just program in different synth sounds, this works a treat. It has all the things you need there. You've got your pitch bend and your modulation wheel, volume control, octave control there. You've got a bunch of different functions across on the actual keys, as you can see there. So it does have a bunch of stuff, not all the bells and whistles, but some bells and whistles. And yeah, it comes with its own, well, it comes with a cable. Yay, it comes with a cable. Plugs in via USB, like all the other gear that we're mentioning here. It has a sustain pedal input. It just ticks all the boxes for me. It's got touch sensitive keys, so you can really nice action on those. Semi-weighted, so not the full weighted keys, but also not, not tapping plastic and not feeling any sort of feedback at all. Semi-weighted keys. Yeah, and this is one of the few things that's actually in stock at the moment. Most of the other stuff is out of stock. So M Audio Key Station 49, very cool option there. Let's just round this out because we've gone into a lot of detail on some of these. If you're in the mobile studio, so there you are. If you're like, okay, cool, Pete, I now know you've said what I want, and here's my $500, and I'm going to go and do it. Again, you don't have to do it all at once, but that's the gear that I recommend there. Now, if you're in the mobile studio, there are two pieces of kit you need if you're connecting to a Lightning-based iPhone or iPad. If you're using an iPad Pro, the beautiful part is that interface, the Steinberg, is USB-C. So you can actually plug USB-C straight into your USB-C. You're good to go. You're off to the races with that one. But what about if you're using a Lightning-based iPhone or iPad? Couple of extra pieces of kit you need. One is this, the Lightning to USB 3 adapter. Say it with me, Lightning to USB 3 adapter, the genuine Apple one. I see too many folks, they go out and they spend $500 on all of that stuff, and then they buy the cheap $10 or $15 eBay version of this. It's not economies of scale there, people. It's not going to help you out. I know $40, or in my case, $65 Australian, I know, for a piece of plastic is not a lot of fun to pay, but you pay it once, and I've had this one for 3 years now. It still works perfectly, and it works every time. Problem with the third-party and aftermarket ones, sometimes they don't work at all. Sometimes they work intermittently, which is terrible. If you plug this in and you plug all your gear in, you don't want it sort of cutting out halfway through your face-melting guitar solo. That's no fun. Or iOS gets updated. Guess what? We're about to get iOS 14. I've got a feeling that I'm going to get an influx of emails from folks saying, my Lightning to USB adapter was working perfectly. I updated to iOS 14 and now it's not. Well, guess what? Apple are not going to not support their own adapters, but yeah, other adapters. Your mileage is definitely going to vary there. So I definitely recommend that. And the final thing that I'll recommend here, and again, all of these items are down in the description, is a powered USB hub. Now, this is especially for those with an iPhone or an iPad, because it means that you can connect up multiple stuff. So if you wanted to have your MIDI keyboard, your M Audio keyboard, and your audio interface connected at the same time and recording at the same time, so you could play keys and record a microphone and a guitar through your interface all at once, you need yourself a powered hub. This is the one I recommend. It's made by Tendac. It's branded Atola, I believe, over in the UK, but it looks exactly the same. It's just branded differently. I've just found this one the most useful. It's sitting right here in my setup right now. It's kind of a permanent part of my studio. So yeah, it's what you need. And even if you're using a Mac or a PC, it's a good idea to have one of these, just to have all your audio gear plugged into one spot. That goes into one USB port, and then you know you're always going to have the right amount of power delivered to power your studio. So there you go. That is my 2020 gear recommendations. We've got the audio interface, the Steinberg UR22C. Microphone is the AT2020 from Audio-Technica. The Sennheiser headphones, we've got the M Audio Key Station. And if you're mobile, the powered USB hub and the Lightning to USB 3 adapter. I hope you found all of that useful. And if you're in the market for some gear, you may have to wait a little while if you're right here in July 2020, but hopefully that will help you upgrade your sound. That was a little bit longer than I meant it to be. I get a bit excited and passionate when I start talking about things. So let us come in here and we'll see if we've got some questions from the folks who are here live before we jump on over into the other stuff that we'll be talking about today, some of the questions from the week. So we're going to scroll back up just to find any questions that I may have missed here from the folks who are here live. We'll do the live questions first because folks have been patiently waiting here. We've got a question here from Daryl. Do you think it's worth stepping up to Logic Pro from GarageBand? Are there that many benefits? This is a great question, and my buddy James actually, he and his brother are doing a show, a YouTube channel that they've just started. I forget the name, Digital Gear Review, I think. I'll try and find it. Jade, if you're here moderating, if you can put a link, if you can find the channel, the boys' channel there, they did a comparison of GarageBand versus Logic, basically talking about what the differences are. The good thing is, and I think it's still going on, I think there's still a free trial for Logic. So it's kind of do the try before you buy and see if the additional features are going to help you out. It really depends on what sort of music you're producing and if any of the additional features are actually going to help you. I've heard from a lot of folks, if you've got GarageBand and you add the main stage package for I think it's about $30, then you've actually got yourself pretty much all the same stuff. It's unless you want to use some of the more advanced features in Logic, some of the Alchemy synth stuff, some of the FX I think that they've added in there recent times, like I think they've got some sort of live loops functionality in there. So yeah, I would do the trial. But yeah, if you're over on the GarageBand users group, a lot of folks are chatting about that right now because many folks are in the same boat. They're like, do I upgrade? Do I go from GarageBand to Logic? So hopefully that helps you out there. Question here from Caleb. Is the Samson Carbon 61 MIDI controller okay for long recording? I'm going to have to take a look at this one. Carbon 61. While I've got my Amazon up here, let's see if we can find it. I can't actually find the one. If it's made by Samson, I use a lot of Samson gear. Samson gear is really good. The good thing is that there's not too many brands. If it's a brand name of something, there's not too many brand names where you're going to do bad. I meant to mention it in the gear section. The beautiful part of being in 2020 is all of the gear is pretty much high quality. I haven't bought anything lately where I'm like, this is just a complete turd. This is rubbish. Everything I've bought lately, from the Roll and Go mixer to the AKG Lyra USB mic, everything just is good. Has a lot going for it. So yeah, I don't know because I haven't used that one in particular. Let's continue on. This is a question I get a lot. And in fact, I've done 2 different videos about it: audio interface versus mixer. I won't answer here only because we have that question coming up in the questions from folks during the week. Question here from Danny Stokes. Excuse me. I have a UR242 that came with Cubase AI, which I love. Have you considered making the jump from GarageBand to Cubase, even the free version that comes with the interface? Yes. So on iOS, I have thought about it because Cubase 3 is an app that I've had on my iPad for a while, and I just haven't taken the plunge. I think it's about time. I think I need to actually just sit down and do it because, yeah, I get to this point where I want to create music and I don't want the learning curve. I don't want the couple of weeks of not knowing what to do and learning it. But I figure there's a lot of folks here that are interested in Cubases that are probably like me using GarageBand now. So it might actually be beneficial if I document my journey of trying it. That way I'm trying it and I'm learning it and I'm creating content here for the channel. So watch this space because that's something I'm planning to do in the near future. Question here from Yves Roy. I have a Shure SM58 and a Shure Beta 58. Which one do you recommend for studio recording? So I've used an SM58. I haven't actually used the Beta 58. I think it's a modified version of the 58 from memory, and I think it's actually quite similar. I'd have to look up, to be honest. I'd have to look up the difference between the SM58 and the Beta 58. A lot of this stuff, if you've already got it, it's set it up and try. Like, a lot of it is down to, because the reason I often can't say I recommend this over this. That's why with the microphones I said a lot depends on your environment and sort of what you're recording. Is that it really does depend. So if you've got the stuff anyway, set it up, record in a vocal or a guitar or whatever you're doing, set up the other one, record in a vocal or a guitar, and compare the difference. See how it goes. That would be my recommendation anyway. Let's continue on here and we'll find any other questions before we jump into the previous questions. Thank you to Jade, who is throwing the links down here. There is the gear recommendations link as I talked about it. Question here from Technical NDN. Does the Lightning to USB 3 adapter supply enough power to use the USB connection on the iRig Pro IO without a powered USB hub? I'm tired of batteries. That is an excellent question. I'm looking backwards because my iRig Pro IO is sitting over on the shelf. I didn't mention that. I wanted to keep that gear recommendation section short and succinct and not confusing with a bunch of different options. But the other option for your gear is that you can use one of the iRig products. So the iRig Pro IO, and what we're talking about there If I just bring it up here, iRig Pro IO, it is over on the Gear Guide as well. In fact, why am I looking it up when I can just click my own Gear Guide link? I should learn that I already have this stuff done. Pete, you have a page that does all this. So here's my Gear Guide, and if we come down to audio interfaces and we look at the iRig Pro IO, this one here, we will bring this up. So what we're talking about here, so this is a Lightning and USB audio interface. So you can see there that, does it show what it comes with? It does. So this photo here, there, you can see that this comes with MIDI cables, MIDI in, MIDI out, and then it comes with a Lightning and a USB cable. So you can actually plug it in. Is that Lightning? Yeah, it's sideways. Yeah, Lightning and USB. So the question here is if you use the USB cable and you go through the Lightning to USB 3 and then power it up separately, will that power your iRig? I think it will. I've got a feeling it will. I'm going to have to test it because obviously most folks that have the iRig Pro IO, they have that so they don't have to buy an adapter. But if you're going to spend $40 to buy the AC adapter for the iRig Pro IO, probably a better investment to buy this. It's actually a really good idea. I'm going to note that down here in my show notes because I think that's a video I should probably make, is the iRig Pro IO through the adapter. Because I'm the same, like I use it, but it runs out of juice because it drains your iPad or your iPhone. If you could have it separately powered through that, yeah, I reckon that might be a go because that's going to keep your iPad charged up. And if it runs the iRig through the USB, which it should, then I think you're onto a winner there. Excellent question and good suggestion. Question here from Ed Zolinsky. How much is the pitch bend on the ME Audio keyboard? I have a code 49 and it's kind of wonky. How is the pitch bend? It's pretty good. Like it's solid. So, and I think Jade has the code series, so she might be able to comment on the difference. But yeah, it's actually it's like rubberized and it's got that quite solid feel. So it doesn't jump around. So you get a tone up or a tone down. And yeah, it's got a little finger hole there. So when you're playing with your right hand, you can grab your finger hole and pull down and pull up. And I've found it's pretty smooth. So in my experience, yeah, the M Audio Keystation 49 pitch bend wheel works well. And that being said, I don't do a lot of pitch bending. I don't do a lot of sort of synth music where I'm using the pitch bend a lot, but the few times that I've had to use it, it hasn't been distracting. I haven't noticed it, put it that way. So I haven't noticed and gone, wow, this is wonky. It seems to work pretty well. Frederick King, hello to you. Hope you're well, my friend. I heard you mention a preamp with a non-USB mic. What you recommend if I missed it? I heard you mention a preamp with a non-USB. Yeah. So I recommend the Steinberg UR22C. So that was the one over here. This one, not that one. This one. That's my audio interface. So that's got the two very nice Yamaha D preamps on the front there. You can see, and yeah, really nice, clean, clear. And you can, if you want a slightly cheaper version, the UR12, which was my first sort of real interface, it's only a one channel, but it also has the Yamaha D pres and the same specs as well. So you can definitely go for that if you're after something a wee bit cheaper. Question here from Slick, sorry. Is there any way to play the left or right side only of a stereo track on GarageBand like you can do with Logic Pro? Short answer is no. So GarageBand, one of the big limitations of GarageBand is that it struggles in terms of being able to have anything but a stereo track. So whenever you come into GarageBand and you set up a new track, we'll just come in here to Audio Recorder, you set up a new track and you record something in here and we go, welcome to the house of fun. And it's going to have all the bad sounds in there, but that's always a stereo recording, right? So every one of these tracks is stereo. Now you can, of course, use your panning. You can come in here and you can pan it to the left, and then it's 100% on the left, and you can pan it to the right, it's 100% to the right. But there's nothing that can kind of split that out. What you would have to do is if you had a stereo track and you wanted to kind of make it mono, you'd have to take it outside of GarageBand, split it to its left and right, and then bring it back in. But then it's going to bring it back in as stereo tracks. Basically, every track in GarageBand is stereo. So one of the limitations of GarageBand is that everything's treated as stereo, which is a pain in the butt because sometimes you have something completely on the left and you'll be like, why am I hearing this on the right? And then you'll realize that you've added a delay that's actually a stereo delay and it's bouncing it over to the other side. Right. Let's continue on here. Yep. I'll answer one more question from live because I know that you asked this Soul Rack on another video, and I'm about to respond to that anyway. Send me the exact name and model of your USB hub and the brand and model of your interface. Yeah, so they're all in the description, Soul Rack. So if you go to the description of this video, there's links and it's got the exact names there. So the Steinberg UR22C and the 10 DAC 4-port powered USB hub. So there's links to the Sweetwater and the Amazon places that you can get those. But if you need more info, let me know. Righty dokie, I need to bring up my screen sharing here now so that I can actually bring my phone here so we can answer some questions because we haven't even got to the questions that the folks had during the week. So we are going to have to move pretty quickly through some of these. I'm just going to throw this up here on the screen. Bear with me for a couple of seconds because I had to do the screen recording there first. It's a little bit different today. Normally I just have my phone sort of using Reflector 3. By the way, if you want to reflect using your AirPlay over to a PC from your iPhone or iPad, Reflector 3 is the software that I use. I do get asked that when I do this show, and I do need to make a video about that so that folks can actually have that question answered for them. So let's bring up here. Here's the questions that we've had. So a question here from John. It says, mate, I'm just starting up and it's been a minefield. Thank you for making sense at least. Keep up the great work. Your gear sheet is so helpful. So thank you for using the gear guide. One question, any idea on using a guitar pedal board? Just plug it into the interface, I guess. Thanks, Pete. Yes. So the good news is if you watched earlier, something like a stereo audio interface like the Steinberg UR22C or the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, that has stereo line inputs. So the beautiful part about that is whatever guitar processor you've got, any effects processor, any outboard gear that you want to send, as long as you've got a line level signal, a TRS connection that you can send out of that gear, you can plug it straight in. Now, the challenge there is if you've got one of the cheaper entry level interfaces, you may only have like a single channel, so you may only have mono input, and you may have to go through the instrument or the high Z or high Z input, which means you're just going to have to be super careful with the volume because you don't want to overload, because if it's expecting an unpowered guitar input like from your electric guitar and you pump in a high very hot line level signal, you can cause some damage and you don't want to do that. So you want to make sure that you turn all of the volume down on your processor, turn the volume of the input gain right down, and just gently tweak those up. And that's good advice for anyone connecting anything to anything. When you're connecting stuff up, have your volumes all the way down. You can turn it up to 11 later, it's okay, but start with your volumes down so that you don't blow your levels. That would be my advice. So hopefully that helps you out, John, and thank you for being part of the channel and for your question and your support. We did talk about this. So someone asked a question, what's the difference between a USB audio interface and a mixer? I've done a couple of videos on it. Which would I go for? Well, if you're just recording in the home studio, an audio interface is going to give you better bang for buck. You're going to get higher quality audio for a lower price. The thing is with a mixer, they're still good, but if you want to go up to a mixer that also records individual channels, like the one I use, the Zoom Live Track L8, that's $399. So you're paying twice as much. Sure, you get 8 independent channels that you can then record through, but you are paying twice as much for it. If you go with one of the sort of entry-level Behringer or Samson mixers, like the MixPad I used to use, well, they're good, but they only have stereo output, and the audio quality of the preamps and the converters is not quite as good as what you get in the comparatively priced audio interface, because they have to put a lot of other money into the faders, the EQ, the gain and trim controls, all the other stuff you get on a mixer that you don't get on a interface. As far as latency goes, as long as your audio interface has zero latency monitoring, like the Steinberg, like the Focusrite, then you're good to go. You can just use that and you're going to get that. The good part about a mixer is that they all have that. So they all have zero latency monitoring. So right now I'm going through my mixer. My voice is coming back in through my headphones directly from the mixer. So I know exactly what's going out and I'm hearing it in real time. The same if I plugged in a guitar. So later today, when I do my live happy hour set, I'll be going through the mixer. I'll be able to hear everything completely through the mixer, latency free. So that is a good deal if you're looking for a mixer. Let's move on. We've got a few more questions to get through. We'll have a quick drink here to make sure I can continue talking. Question here from Sim. I've started music recording, mobile recording in app a week ago. I'm using an iPhone 6s Plus. Can you introduce me to what I really need for someone just starting out? Can you link me a proper headset or earpiece and the microphone you use, please? I just did. So, all of the gear recommendations are down in the description of this very video, as well as over at studiolivetoday.com/gear. So, hopefully that helps you out if you're looking for any of the gear that I use and recommend. And there's different levels there too, by the way. If you go to the gear guide, you probably noticed that it's not just one thing per category. I give you a bunch of options. And what I should probably do, maybe let me know if this is a good idea. I should probably order it based on cost. So maybe highest to lowest or lowest to highest. I know some people just really want to find what's the cheapest that I can get away with using, which is totally cool. I was right there. I'll show you my first audio interface in another video. But yeah, it was like $40 and I still have it there just as a bit of a throwback. I should try recording a whole song just using that. That could be fun one day. Question here from Christopher. It says, hi Pete, I'm using the exact setup that you describe. I managed to record one song and was really pleased with the result, but now suddenly I can record for about a minute and then I get a message, your device is not compatible with this iPad, and the mic switches off. Any ideas what could be causing this? I have two ideas. So when you're having issues like this with intermittent working, and I mentioned it earlier in the show, it's usually to do with one of two things. Either the Lightning to USB adapter you're using is not the genuine Apple Lightning to USB adapter, or even if it is, and you're using the one here that doesn't have the additional Lightning port, you might not be getting enough power to your device to keep it running. So that's why this one is so important to have. The Lightning to USB 3 adapter means you can plug in and it's going to work. And then if your device says, hey, we need more power, guess what? You can just plug the Lightning port into either a portable battery or into an AC power or into a powered hub, and you're getting some power straight through to your devices. So check the link in the description of this one. I've got the links to this and the powered USB hub. If you pick those up, plug those in, I'm almost positive that you'll be golden forever, and any device, any USB device you throw at your iPhone or iPad is going to work for you first time, every time. Question here from Shashank says, hi Pete, this was very helpful. One thing I just wanted to confirm is, will the entire process of creating individual stems work in Cakewalk, or do I need to switch into something else? So this is related to a video. This is actually the old version of video. I did a newer version of the video about exporting stems from GarageBand. So the question here around working Cakewalk, yeah, so the method I showed in this video is very clunky and it's very much a workaround, but the benefit is it does work in every single DAW, and that is you solo the track and then you export it as a WAV file. So whether you're in GarageBand or Cakewalk or Logic or Pro Tools or whatever, if you don't have an option to export stems automatically, then you can do this. It's a bit time consuming, especially if you've got lots of tracks, but it does work. And then you can import those WAV files, those tracks, back into any other DAW and just line them all up and you'll be good to go. So hopefully that helps you and others with that question. Hello to Paul. Paul says, really great coincidence stumbling onto this video. I'm still a relatively new user. I've been using GarageBand for several months and have been recording MIDI tracks. So suddenly was wondering about the sliders on the left, if they control output or if they act as input faders when recording real instruments. I'm also intrigued by the two iSymphonic tracks. Are they hidden somewhere, or did you have to purchase or download? Thanks. So I'll answer the second part first. So iSymphonic is a third-party plugin. So it's an AUV3 plugin. So you do need to purchase and download that app. It's not super cheap. It's about $20 or $30, and then there's a bunch that you can pay for the packs. Jade Starr actually did a complete review of iSymphonic recently, which is really cool. So go over to her channel to check that one out. But yeah, you can use any other app that is AU compliant or AUV3 compatible. You can actually use as a track in your GarageBand project, which makes it super flexible because you're not just stuck with the GarageBand instruments. You can expand out your library with a whole bunch more instruments. It's very, very cool. The question there about the input faders and the output. So on GarageBand, I can't use I'm about to use my phone to demonstrate. Basically, you've got your input on the left and your output on the right. So when you go into your microphone, you'll notice that there's an input fader on the left and an output on the right. Now, if you're using an audio interface, that will be grayed out because you dial in your input gain on your actual hardware, on your USB audio interface. But if you're using an analog device, then you're going to be able to adjust that gain up and down, and that's your input recording level. The output is over on the right-hand side. Now, with your virtual instruments, because you don't have any input gain, it's all output gain. So all you need to control is that volume. So that the sideways sliders on your GarageBand, they're always your output volume. The input gain is the up and down slider when you go into your microphone or your guitar or the analog device that you're recording. Hopefully that answers your question and helps out. I think we've got time for one more from the last week. I'll touch on this because I meant to mention it yesterday. Re-releasing with DistroKid. It says, hi Pete, can I delete from one account, then upload to another? Thanks for your help. So I wanted to throw this question here because I'm getting asked this question a lot. The stores, the online platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, GarageBand, Google Play, are all cracking down at the moment because what's happened is there's been a huge uplift in people releasing music. Great, right? Excellent. I want people to be releasing music. But the problem is that the online platforms haven't really been able to keep up. So there's been a lot of delays in releasing. The other thing that's happening is there's a bit of a trend at the moment that people are trying to release a song, they're trying to get it on Spotify playlists, they're trying to generate some buzz, and if it fails, they're trying to remove it from stores and then re-release it, either under the same name or changing their name or using a different distributor. Now, the stores are not happy about this because they don't want the same. So if I'm Pete and I release a song and I'm like, oh, that failed badly, and I remove it and then I re-release the exact same audio under my other band name, Fear Cut, well, the stores are going to say, no, you don't get two bites of the apple here. Sorry, buddy. We're going to block that. So you have to be really careful that if you remove the audio of a song, you can do it for legitimate reasons. So I had a song recently where I had a little glitch in the audio at the very start. It went pop and then it played. And I was like, oh, rookie mistake. But I needed to update the audio. So I did. I edited that little clip out. I removed the song from DistroKid. You completely took it down, waited a couple of days for it to clear out of all the stores, then re-uploaded it with the new version of the audio. Now that's okay. They're going to let you do that. But if you upload the exact same audio under your name, someone else's name, whatever, the stores are going to go, nope. They identify it. They say it's the exact same audio. They're not going to allow you to re-release it. So be very careful. I mentioned on a recent show, pretend it's like 1994 and you're literally like releasing an album or releasing a single. And once it's out there, once it's being shipped, once it's on its way to the Virgin Record store or the what do we have here, Sanity, then that's it. You're done. Like, you can't bring it back. You're not going to call and say, oh no, can you pull those CDs off the shelf? I've got a slightly different version of the audio. Or, oh, that CD release didn't work. Let's pull all those CDs back. I'll just change my name to something slightly different and then re-release the exact same album. No, it doesn't happen. So pretend it's the 90s, pretend that it's a real thing, because that's the way the streaming platforms are treating this stuff now. Righty dokie. Let's check in and see if we have any final questions here from the folks that are here live. Alex Backer says you could use Cubasis for the ambient music, two new things at once. Yes, I've been talking about doing some sort of mellow ambient kind of instrumental music lately. So maybe that's something that I could delve into there. Here we go. SM Borthwick says the SM58 and the Beta 58 have different polar patterns. The Beta 58 has a wider frequency response and a slightly hotter output. See, there you go. I said it right up front, but that's the beauty part of having the Studio Live Today community here. I don't have to answer all the questions, and the ones that I don't know, I actually get answered. We'll continue on here. If I've missed a question, again, just throw a question in front of it, and we'll definitely try and get to it in the next couple of minutes before we finish the show. Gino says, Pete, do you ever mic a guitar amp or just use amp sims? I have mic'd my guitar amp. Here's the thing, Gino. My guitar amps are crappy. You'll see this. I'm going to do a studio tour video, which I'll be releasing in the next couple of days, where I'm going to show you around my studio and everything that I have in here. Yeah, my guitar amps are not good. I've got a Martinez acoustic amp that's really low powered and really not that good, and I've got a Marshall, but it's a little Marshall practice amp, little transformer dealy. So don't have any nice tube and valve amps, don't have any nice heads and cabs or anything here. So because of that, I get a better sound from a guitar amp sim than I do from my own amps. That being said, I have tried it. There is a video. If you search my name, search Pete Johns guitar amp record or something like that, you'll be able to find the video I did where I demoed how to do it in GarageBand, because it's quite simple. Just hook up a microphone, and record it, and you're good to go. Jade says, I have both the Steinberg UR22 Mark II and a Yamaha MG10XU, the interface for recording music and the mixer specifically for live streams. Yeah, I'm the same. When I got the Zoom Live Track L8, I thought, beauty, one device to rule them all. But the thing is, the preamps on the Zoom and the converter on the Zoom are great for live music. They're great for live streaming, and it's great to have the EQ and everything built in. It's just not quite as good and not quite as convenient as using the Steinberg. And because I'm only recording one or two tracks at once, I don't need all the tracks of the Zoom, and it's a bit clunkier to get that connected into iOS. So I'm sticking with the Steinberg. So yeah, I agree. Same sort of thing. Let's see. Have we got any other final questions before we finish off here? Once again, if you do have a final question, put question in front. Unfortunately, I don't have the mental capacity to actually see anything that doesn't have question. Jade's put a link to iSymphonic there. There it is down below if you want to check out iSymphonic. Hello, Tim Osborne. How are you doing? Says, hi, Pete. When you merge tracks, is everything you recorded and all the effects baked in? Therefore, you need to get the mix of those tracks right before you merge. Yes. So if you're merging in GarageBand, so if you've saw my video during the week, I did a video where I showed all the different things you can do in GarageBand, like all the 15 different menu options that you have, and exactly what each of them do. So I'll do a quick demo here. So here's my GarageBand, right? I've got, say, these plugins baked in here. I've had compression. I've done, some weird and wacky EQ. All of that gets baked in when you merge the tracks. So if you're not familiar with the merge function, if we come out and we tap here and we tap merge, you can merge either one track or multiple tracks down. We hit the merge button. It's going to, need to select a track, hit merge. It merges those down into one stereo file. Now you can see there, this is actually a bit of a hack to work around that whole left and right thing, because it's put everything, because I had it panned hard to the right, it's put everything on the right channel there. You can see how the waveform's just below. So I guess that's a bit of a hack and a workaround there. But yeah, that is baked in all of that stuff. So there's two ways to go about this. You either do all of that, do all of your settings first, and then merge it, because you'll notice here that it's taken away all those settings, or you merge the absolute raw audio if you just want to merge it for the sake of, say, saving on track space, and then you copy it back over, and that way you can still change your effects. The problem is if you merge with all the effects baked in and then you want to tweak something, you can't. It's already baked in. So that's the two ways to do it. Either do all your effects and all your plugins and all your moves, then merge it once you're happy and leave it at that, and then have it as on a flat, clean track, or you merge the clean file, put it on a track, and then add back in your plugins. So whichever way you go, just make sure that you're aware of which way you've chosen to go, and you'll be good. Question from Ed, is there a link to the top instrument add-ins for GarageBand similar to iSymphonic, but with more rock or pop instruments? There's probably a bunch of different ones. The one that I used to use was what is it? Is it called Sound Bank? I can't remember the name of it. Someone else will remember. It's made by IK Multimedia, and it's got a whole bunch of different sounds in there. I do have a bunch of the free ones. So if you go to studiolivetoday.com, there's a free AU plugin guide there that has a bunch of the free plugins that you can play with. But yeah, I'd go and check out Jade's How to App series. She's done a heap on different sort of plugins and instruments and things that you can use, and has a lot of good things there. Danny Stokes says a question, can you record a sound output from your iPhone into the line into your audio interface? Sound output from your phone. Yeah, so you can. So if you've got your phone, if it's got a headphone jack, that's just going to be a stereo line output, a 3.5mm jack. That can go directly into the line input of your audio interface, either mono or stereo if you've got two. So I've done that quite a few times. So on my mixer here, I have the little dongle. Where's my dongle? I use my dongle for my phone, and this converts the Lightning to a 3.5mm stereo jack, and then it's just a stereo line level signal coming out of my phone that can go into my mixer, into my interface, into my amp, into whatever I want it to. So yes, you can do that. Sample Tank, that is the one that I was trying to think of. Yes, Sample Tank is pretty cool. Righty dokie. We are going to have to finish things there, but I do want to say a big thank you to everyone who's been here live, who's contributed, who's helped me answer all of the questions. Hopefully you got some value out of this one. If you did and you're here on YouTube or Facebook, hitting the like button just tells me that I should get up on my Sunday mornings and do this every week because I love doing it and I love having you here along for the ride. Don't forget, if you wanted to check out any of the gear recommendations that I talked about in this video, apparently I'm going through puberty and my voice is breaking, then you can go to studiolivetoday.com/gear. Until next time, or if you're hanging out today and you're here live, in 2 hours' time, we'll be doing the happy hour show, so don't forget about that one, if my voice holds out. Thank you, folks, for being here. Have a great day. Keep creating, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.